Nicolosi, a town near Sicily's second largest city, Catania. It is perched on the slopes of Mount Etna. At every eruption, which can take place multiple times a year, and it's the same for hundreds of other residents in the area. In recent weeks, an intense series of eruptions has brought Mount Etna back to international headlines for its fiery show, as well as for grounding hundreds of flights for a week. However, while millions of people marvel at these natural phenomena, less attention is paid to the people living with the consequences of steady volcanic ash release. In periods of intense volcanic activity, ashfall can reach thousands of tons a day, blanketing towns across the region. Volcanic ash consists of very fine particles of rock, minerals, and volcanic glass, and can easily get stuck on roofs and hard-to-reach corners of buildings and streets for years. But the particles also pose a hidden health risk, particularly when they are inhaled after being stirred up by wind or vehicles on ash-covered roads. The University of Palermo has also previously conducted studies investigating elevated rates of thyroid cancer in populations living in the Etna volcanic area, alongside evidence of increased exposure to trace elements associated with volcanic emissions. Nunzio Crimi, a pulmonologist and allergist based in Catania, cut his summer vacation short this year after receiving a number of emergency calls from his regular patients who already suffer from respiratory disorders. Patients with already fragile immune systems or pre-existing breathing medical conditions, like allergic asthma and chronic bronchopneumonia, are more prone to get sick from the ashfall and can experience quite serious worsening of their conditions, especially those whose respiratory systems have been weakened by past experiences of pneumonia. During the eruption of Etna in August 2026, the Sicilian Department of Civil Protection, which handles disaster prediction, prevention, and emergency management, reported an increase in patients rushing to hospital emergency rooms in the province of Catania. They shared similar symptoms: eye irritation or conjunctivitis, coughing, a runny or irritated nose, and sneezing. According to Ricardo Castro, a local politician and medical official at the main hospital in Sicily, a city located about 20 kilometers from Mount Etna, delays in ash removal and inadequate disposal infrastructure have prolonged residents' secondary exposure to fine particulate ash from the volcano, thereby exacerbating respiratory and health risks. These ashes contain metals, so breathing them is not healthy. While Castro says that short-term exposure is not considered especially dangerous, those who are exposed to these particles several times a year since they were born, especially in towns closer to the top of the volcano, can develop serious longer-term health effects. Rapid removal significantly reduces secondary exposure. Castro warns, however, that some cleanup methods are actually exacerbating the situation. Using air blowers to clear streets and roofs reintroduces ash back into the air rather than permanently removing it. Her fellow Nicolosi citizen, Delia Zappola, who co-owns a factory that uses lava stones to produce artistic objects, says that for as long as she can remember, her family and neighbors have had to collect bags of volcanic ashes themselves. These were often kept for months in a corner of their garden, as the municipality didn't provide proper collective removal or guidelines on how to dispose of it. Sicilian researchers have tried to cooperate with authorities to advance solutions that minimize the health impacts of ash. We have drawn inspiration from Japan, where around active volcanoes such as Sakurajima, authorities integrate rapid ash removal systems. But we lag behind in terms of technology and planning, says Paolo Riccaro, an environmental engineering professor at the University of Catania. Riccaro says that despite decades of frequent eruptions at Etna, as well as volcanoes on Sicily's Aeolian Islands, the issue keeps being treated as an emergency rather than a persistent problem that requires planning and mitigation. He hopes a decree passed by the region of Sicily in March could encourage better coordination of ash removal, with benefits for people and the environment.